Hello and welcome to today's lesson on taxation. Taxes are payments made to the government by everyone who earns an income. They are collected by the government and then distributed in accordance to the needs of the country. Before we get into the calculations, there are some basic fundamentals you need to understand. Firstly, it's tax brackets, and this is a grouping system that helps determine how much you are supposed to pay based on how much you earn. The more you earn, the more you will pay in taxes because it is believed that you have more money to help. Now, this table shows the tax brackets we have for this question we will be tackling later on. And then we also have tax thresholds. A threshold is a minimum income you need to earn at a particular age for you to qualify to pay tax. So, more than just a tax bracket, you also need to qualify via threshold. For example, a person over the age of 65 has less opportunities to work to earn money doing work, so they are placed at a higher threshold for them to pay tax. So if you are earning very little money as a 65-year-old or older, it is believed you need all the money you can get, so you are not taxed unless you are earning a significant amount. Lastly, we have rebates. Now, rebates are money you get back when filing for your taxes, and again, they are determined based on age. Okay, now looking at the example, it says Malcolm, a 65-year-old consultant, earns an annual taxable income of 981,500 for the 2023-2024 tax year. He does not belong to a medical aid. Table 8 shows the tax table for the 23-24 tax year. Table 9 shows the rebates for different tax ending years. Now, looking at Malcolm's taxable income and the tax table, Malcolm is in the second last bracket where he will be required to pay 251,258 plus 41% of taxable income above 857,900. So, and also Malcolm is 65 years old, so he qualifies for two rebates. The rebate that is for anyone younger than 65, and the rebate, uh, sorry, he qualifies for the rebate for a person that is younger than 65 and a person who is 65 and older. So, from that, we've already answered the first question, which is 5.1.1. He qualifies. Now, remember from our question, they said Table 9 shows the rebates for different tax ending years, meaning because the tax ending year we're dealing with is 2024, we will look at the first column here. Let me highlight it. When it comes to rebates, we will look at this first column here. And Malcolm qualifies for two rebates. So then we have 5.1.2, which says calculate Malcolm's monthly tax payable. So in this question specifically, we are told that Malcolm does not belong to a medical aid. Usually, before we calculate someone's tax payable, there are non-taxable deductions, which are usually pension fund payments and donations to charities. Malcolm does not do either one of those, so we will begin from his salary of 981,500. Now, from that salary, we said he belongs in this tax bracket, where he is required to pay 251,258 regardless, right? So on the side here, I will just say for taxes, firstly, we know we will be paying 251,000 258. Let's just check. Yes, 258. Okay, so we know that he is required to pay that amount, right? Now we must calculate the 41% of taxable income above 857,900. So now let's clear up any confusion that may arise from that statement. How this tax table works. At the beginning, they say if you earn between 1 rand to 273,100, you pay 18% of taxable income, right? And then in the next tax bracket, you are required to pay 42,678 plus 26% of taxable income above 237,100. Now, how that 42,678,000 is determined is that this amount of 42,678, it is 18% of 237,100, right? And then you will be required to pay an additional 26% of taxable income above 273, sorry, 237,100. And going down the table, that's how it works for all mandatory amounts that you are required to pay. The 77,362,000 you are supposed to pay here, it is the 18%, and then they add the maximum value of 26% of the maximum taxable amount above 237,100 in this bracket, meaning they will say 370,000, excuse my writing, 370,500 minus 237,100 and you will get a total of 133,400. And 26% of that is 34,684. So now the 26% of the maximum value of taxable income above 237,100 plus 42,678 gives us the 77,362,000 that we are required to pay in the next tax bracket. And this is how it works for all mandatory amounts. They take the maximum value you would pay if you are in this tax bracket and make it mandatory here. And then they take the maximum amount you would pay if you qualify for the second tax bracket and make it the mandatory amount here. So that is where the 251,000, 258,000 comes from. Now, for taxable income above 857,900, we must first take his annual salary of 981,000. We subtract, it's 981,500, subtract 857,900, we are left with 123,600. Now, we are looking for 41% of that. That is the amount we are going to add to his taxes. And 41% of 123,600 becomes 50,676. So we will take this amount and add it to the mandatory 251,258. Now, this rounds up our total to 301,934. But remember, there are rebates, and we said Malcolm, being 65 years old, qualifies for 2 rebates. And remember, we are looking at the rebates are for the tax ending year, meaning we look at the 2024 column, meaning from that 301,934, we are going to subtract 17,235 and 9,444, right? Rebates are like discounts you get on your taxes. So we are going to then subtract 17,235, sorry, 235 and 9,444. Meaning the actual total he will pay in taxes is 275,255. Now, a different question might ask you, how much does he pay in taxes per month? You would have to then take this total and divide it by the 12 months of the year. Now, there are also instances where someone qualifies for taxes in 2023 and then he does not qualify for taxes in 2024 because the tax threshold has changed. If you were required to prove that using calculations, you would simply check how much of their income is taxable and then check if it meets the threshold for the year. That is all for today. Thank you.